Hi everyone, it's Amanda at Details Flower Software, and today I'm going to give you a walkthrough of our new design worksheet. Upon first look, you're going to notice it's not too much different from before. You'll notice that the color palette is back on the design worksheet as well as that table seating calculator. However, one of the largest changes would be that your line items, staff and labor, fees and taxes company settings have been removed from the menu and they are now all managed on the worksheet. This means that your default worksheet template are your settings at this moment right now. You'll also notice that your worksheet has a summary down at the bottom. This is new, and any fees and taxes associated with the proposal will be what you had set before. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here just to show you this summary section. Again, this is a default for all of your worksheets. If you wanted to remove it, you could go ahead and click this little trash can right here to remove the section. So one of the first things you're probably going to want to do is take a look at your worksheet and get rid of some of these line items that you're not using. For example, this rentals, you can see I don't have anything in here. I don't want it on this worksheet. I'm going to remove it. Services, same thing. Removing it. Garage sale, remove it. Your event staff here, this is your staff and labor default. So similar to before, you can go ahead and manipulate that. There's also some different ways that you're able to charge for staff and labor now as well. So what I'm going to do, just so I can show you that later, is I'm going to zero these all out. Okay. So once you've gone through and you've deleted the areas that you don't want on the worksheet, I'm going to go ahead and take this one off too. You can remove some of the line items as well as your heart desires. So simple as just clicking these X's right here to get rid of anything that you don't want to take up space on that worksheet. Now again, this is specific to this worksheet, so it's not going to impact any of your other events in the system right now. So we've removed some groups, we've removed some line items, but what happens if we want to add something back in? Well, if it's a line item, it's as simple as clicking right here, and then I can go ahead and name it however I wish. If it's a brand new group, I'm going to go ahead and click this Edit Worksheet button up at the top. And then you can see I have all of these selections for me to be able to add. So the first thing I would want to choose would be my category group, and I can go ahead and just drag that in wherever I'd like. And then click to go ahead and name it. To add in my line items, I can click to add this new row. I could also go ahead and drag this line item over. Now, if you get a little delete happy, it is quite easy to go ahead and bring it back. As you can see, I just removed that corsage section, and now I can go ahead and literally just take it and drag it right back onto that worksheet. So if you accidentally delete something, or say you were editing the worksheet, making some changes, and they decided they wanted to bring a specific line item back, you can go ahead and just restore that on the worksheet. Pretty easy to do. You're also able to rearrange the line item order, and then you are also able to override the line item names themselves. So if we wanted to say flowers for hair for some reason, you could go ahead and do that. If you wanted to rearrange the groups, the best way to do that would be by deleting it, and then once you restore it, you can drag it wherever you'd like. So taking a look at our design board here, I'm going to go ahead and click right back to the design board. That's how you toggle between the two. Here you can see that I've already added some recipes to my design board, blooms and greenery, miscellaneous items. That process is the same as before, so you would head over to your resources and star your items. Previewing your items has changed just a bit here. You can see when I click it and drag it, that photo carries along with me. So to be able to view it, if I hover in the top right, you're going to see an eye icon pop up. If I click that, that's going to give me the preview. Same with our colors here. You can see there's no longer a large trash can that pops up. It's going to be in that top right corner. You can click there to delete the color. One thing that's important to note when you're working on the worksheet is that you're going to be saving a lot. So anytime you make changes to your worksheet before you go save and publish a new proposal version, you're going to save a new version of the worksheet. When I click this Save button, you're going to have a box pop up that's going to give you the option to either save it as a new version. Now this is specific to the event itself. I can save it as a new template. So let's say I removed all of my wedding groups and I replaced it with something geared toward corporate events. That's where I would select this new template, and then my description would be corporate events. Mind you, your template can have anything from the color palette on there, your table seating calculator, a tax section, set fees for your corporate events. So you can add anything you like, even as far as quantities and specific recipes. The same thing goes for your default, but it's important to note that your worksheet default, there's only one of them. Of course, you can remake it and change it for your future events moving forward. And again, it can have things like quantities, fees on there. So taking a peek here, we can see I already have some set up within my line items. And I'm gonna go ahead and open this one up just so you can see some things that are new. We have the cost column here, so this is per ingredient, and then we also have the price and how it generates. Just a nice reminder, make sure if you ever see a 0 for your cost, you can go ahead and click into that ingredient, edit it, and update that default stem cost. There are some items that have a 0 cost in there, so make sure you're always checking for that. Down at the bottom, we can see the total cost of all of our ingredients, our markup percentage. Again, the default is going to be what you currently have set in your back end. If you had wanted to update that, you can do that and update them on your line items and save it as a new default, a new template, however you wish. If you change the markup, it will apply just for this one specific event that you're changing it in. You can also see that we have a new total price box down here. And this is that calculated price based off of your cost and your markup. A couple things I can do here. Let's say I wanted to go ahead and make this $161. I could pop that in. You can see that it changes my estimated price up here. And then it also tells me what that markup changes to. Vice versa, if I wanted to, let's say I wanted this just to be a 250% markup, I can pop that in there, and then we can see that it changes my total price as well. Now, as a reminder, markup is calculated by taking your cost times the markup and adding the cost back in. So it says 250 there. That's my full percent profit I'm receiving. The software is actually calculating it by 350%. If you have any questions about this, feel free to shoot me an email or give us a call. Another thing with our recipes here that has changed would be the locking mechanism. So before, locking was a best practice and we recommend that you do it. We still recommend that you do it, but it's a much more relaxed practice since we've simplified all of our calculations in the system. So if I wanted to put in a custom price, let's say I wanted $150, I could just type that in and it's going to automatically lock it for me. However, you can see that we still have this total price listed down at the bottom. If you're someone that works with a client in office often, I would definitely recommend going to your section settings. Each group has one, and you can opt to not show your ingredient prices here. So now we can see we just have the cost here. Now this is something that will turn off when you have your privacy mode on. You will not see that cost, but in order to not be able to see these show ingredient prices or recipes, you have to use this checkbox right here. Again, that's under your section settings. I'm going to go ahead and close this recipe out, and we're going to take a peek at another one here. So here you can see I have just an inspiration photo. There's a zero quantity, there's no price involved. All I did was place in a description. The really nice thing about the description now is that it does not auto-populate with your ingredients when you're dragging them into the recipe. That means you have the freedom to type in whatever you'd like. It is important to note if you're dragging in a recipe that you have already created and saved to the gallery, it will auto-populate with the description of that recipe. So if that description would be ingredients from before or something you had typed in. So please keep that in mind. We have also removed the text wrapping for the description and notes. So if you like to place everything in separate lines, you're able to do that, and it's going to hold on to this styling. One important aspect of this recipe that you can see is that I have it listed as not included. It's a proposed line item only. You're going to want to turn that on for anything that has a zero quantity. I know oftentimes it's really nice to put in recipe options with centerpieces or even bouquets. So when you're putting in that zero quantity, so the price is not applied to the proposal, what you're going to do is click this little P icon right here, and then as soon as I click it, it turns it off as a proposal selection. If it's off as a proposal selection, your zero quantity line items will not show on the worksheet. With this update, any zero quantity items that you have in your events right now are automatically going to default to having this proposal suggestion on, so they will show as your line items. The really nice thing about this new feature, for example, say our medium pieces here, these are just options. It still allows us to show that price. These items are not going to show up on your cost page, so it's going to give you a more accurate representation there. But on the proposal itself, it's going to list this as well in red. So it's going to say, this is not included. It's a proposed line item only. As soon as they decide on a specific arrangement, that's when you can go ahead and turn this off and then place in the desired quantities into the worksheet. I'm going to take you right over here to take a peek at our recipe options as well. So saving your recipes have changed. So if I click this button right here, you can see I have the option of creating a new gallery recipe. A really lovely option if you created a new recipe, obviously on the worksheet. Or if you made adjustments to a pre-existing worksheet and you didn't want to update the original, you wanted to create a new one. If you were using a gallery worksheet or a recipe, that was already created and I took out some ingredients, I do have the option by updating the gallery recipe. If I made too many changes and I wanted to revert back to the original, I could choose to update it from the gallery. And then, of course, this option right here just opens up the gallery recipe for me to be able to view it in a preview. If it's a recipe that does not yet exist in the recipe gallery, your only option will be create a new recipe. To close your recipe, you can just click this little close button. Of course, you can go ahead and click the photo as well, and that will close it out. Heading over to our next recipe here, I do want to show you one more thing that is new with our line items, and that's the ability to adjust the tax depending on the ingredients in the recipe. So in order to be able to do this, your recipe does need to be unlocked. If it is locked, all of your ingredients are going to be taxed the same, which would be taxed as a product. And you can see if I lock this here, I'm unable to change the tax. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock it. And one of the reasons you might want to change the tax in your recipe, many states do not have to tax their rentals if they've already paid tax on it. So I can just click this right here and it opens up a drop down, and now you can see I can list it as a taxable product, service, labor, or list it as non-taxable. Once I do that, it's going to remove the tax from this, and then make sure, again, you keep that unlocked. If I lock it, once again, it's going to change it all to a taxable product. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to go over it again with you. Taking a peek, down here at our description, I know I said I was done with recipes, but just a couple more things here. The copy ingredient list here, once again, your ingredients do not automatically populate in the description. So by clicking this little button here, it copies it to my clipboard, and if I wanted to, I could paste them into my notes, into my description, or not at all. It's something that is open-ended, and you're able to decide what you would like to do with that ingredient list. The next thing I would like to show you is a really awesome feature that I am incredibly excited about. We've had a lot of people want a feature like this, and that would be bulk adding ingredients to your recipes. I'm going to go ahead and click this Add Ingredient button. Now, just as before you would have been able to search, one of the nice things it gives me right here is the event favorite. So these are things that I have starred. But if I go down here, I can also choose my item type that I would like to search for. So I get to see that photo and make sure I'm selecting the right one. I'm going to stay on my event favorites here, and what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to add some random items to this one, is I'm going to pick these pillar candles, this foam, this dahlia, and these magnolia leaves. So again, I'm just checking that checkbox in the upper right corner. Just as always, click outside of the box, and as soon as you do, you're going to see all of those items have been added to your recipe. A really nice feature, a way to quickly build recipes without having to drag and drop each individual item over. Again, that process still works if you prefer it that way, but I definitely recommend you give that a try. Before I head on to taking a peek at our fees, I do want to note each recipe that you build from scratch goes in as an unnamed recipe. Just as before, you're able to click it and change the name. Something I recommend, it adds a really nice personalized touch to your proposal. For example here, I'm going to go to a line item, our corsages here, and I'm going to click this plus sign. There has been a bit of a change to adding in a blank recipe. So clicking this plus sign, I do have the ability to choose from my recipe photos here. Some of these have ingredients, some of them don't. I can start with my blooms or any of my other ingredients here. I can also opt to add a blank recipe. And again, this is something that gives you a completely blank template for you to start out with. One of the things that you can do in any of your recipes, including your blank recipe, is click the photo here. And by doing that, it gives you the ability to change that featured photo for your recipe. So I can choose from my all inspiration, my event inspiration if I had any, my items from the design board, or my recipe images as well. And once I do that, photo will pop right in. So it gives you a lot more control with what your recipes are looking like on your line items. I'm going to go ahead and take a peek at our summary page right down here at the bottom, as well as add in a fee section. So again, to add in a new section, I can either click right here at the bottom and it will pull up what I'm able to add, or I can go to my edit worksheet and then opt to add in a new section here. Oops, I think I need to pop it in the bottom. So fees, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click to add a new row, and here's where you can choose to apply it to services, products, or labor. I'm going to have this one apply to my services, and I'm going to call it delivery, setup, and strike. This is a pretty common fee that we see quite a lot. Now at this point, I can opt to have it be a flat amount or a percentage. This is a really nice feature that now you're able to mix and match what type of fees. Maybe you want to do a 20% fee, and then maybe you have a $50 flat fee for something else. So you're able to manipulate it per event without having to remember to go back into your default settings, change that flat labor fee back and forth depending on the event. This one I'm going to go ahead and keep a flat amount at $250. You'll check this box or uncheck this box if you don't want this fee to be taxed. Just as an example, I'm going to go ahead and set up another one, and we'll call this hotel stay. This is going to apply to services, and I'm going to have this be a percentage at 20% here. Now, very importantly, once again, when you're done, make sure you click this Save button. So I'm going to click Save. I'm going to say completed recipes and added fees. When you're loading a new worksheet, you're going to be able to see these descriptions. So you'll be able to switch back to the correct one, or if you just want to review it. I'm going to go ahead and head to the proposal now. Now, when I click here, you're going to notice I get this please confirm message again. I know I just saved, so I'm going to go ahead and click yes. Either way, anytime you try and switch to a different page anywhere, you're going to get this message. It just helps you ensure that you saved your work before you move on. So I'm going to go ahead and click yes here. And now I'm going to show you the new page on the proposal. I'm not going to go ahead and save and publish it or anything, but just show you. And it's called the breakdown. So here we can see if you like to itemize out your fees, we can see we have our delivery set up in Strike, that it's taxed, and then we also have that summary section that was at the bottom of the worksheet as well. And this basically shows every single subtotal, fee, discounts if you had any, and then your total. So a really nice breakdown. Of course, this also shows on the summary as well. However, of course, you can see that we just have our products and our services in that grand total. So we don't have that fee breakdown right now. One more thing I want to show you before I go is the new line items, just so you can take a peek. Again, here's that available option. It's not included in the proposal. Really helpful for things like this where you have a price tag on it but no quantity. So once again, to reiterate, make sure you're saving your worksheet versions each and every time. I invite you to add in, just a test client and play around with it. Maybe build a new default, practice taking away groups, renaming line items, things like that before you get into an actual client on your worksheet. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call or send me an email. Once again, I do request that you send any information or issues over to our support team via the support tab located right at the bottom here, and then contact us. That's going to be the fastest path to resolution, and I definitely appreciate your assistance in that. I hope you have fun playing around in the new version, and we'll be in touch soon. Enjoy!